So as the sun has set on an evening in Croatia, which has nothing to do with Flanders at all, but that's where I am at the moment, we look back on a big week that was, because it was World's Week. And there's been a lot of... It would be unfair of me to pick a hero of the week this week, so I still have. But, you know, the hero candidates this week, there's quite a few of them. There's, you know, like Filippo Baroncini, Elena Ivanchenko, Julian Alaphilippe, Gustav Wang, Per Strand, Hagenes, Elisa Balsamo, there's Ellen Van Dijk, Johan Price Pedersen, and of course Zoe Backstead, and also her dad Magnus Backstead, for mostly keeping it together whilst commentating, have come away from the Flanders week with World Champs jerseys, and whatever the category, whether it's TT or road race, you know, they'll have that World Champs jersey forever. So they are all heroes of the week, and their teammates as well, and you know, especially the French men in the road race today pushed that race to go in their favour. The British women in both the women's race and the junior race showed some superb teamwork, and I think often in pro cycling, especially in road races, the team aspect isn't celebrated as much as it is, because ultimately only one person goes on the podium and only one person puts that jersey on, and that's kind of obscure for our sport. There's two more heroes of the week, and that is the UCI and the Belgian fans, because on both accounts, like the UCI, they always put on a good race week, and obviously in conjunction with Belgium, and we knew Belgium was going to be a big Worlds, and it did not disappoint as well. Especially the final weekend, the men's and women's road races were unreal in terms of crowd support, so hats off to them. And you'll probably be thinking you've missed off Germany from the hero candidates. Now, Germany won the mixed relay, something I was a part of, yeah, and they all get a pat on the back, but my hero of the week is Tony Martin, just because he's like my hero of my career. I was lucky enough to be his teammate, his competitor. I had the honour of being the last guy he waited for to come in behind him in a TT as like the final threat to him winning that specific TT, and I was not a threat that day, but you know, Tony put me in that category, which was an honour, and to see him bow out how we all remember Tony, and that's mouth wide open, full chat, World Champs jersey on a TT bike. That's probably desperately uncomfortable for everyone except for Tony. You know, it was a really fitting end to what is an iconic career. So, yeah, you've won a lot, Tony, and you've won this as well. So, well done. Move on to WTFs of the week, and there's a couple. There is a couple. First thing is race radios, because you would have seen after the mixed relay, but it's not something that's new. After the mixed relay, probably Dan Bigham and myself from the British team got hounded by the media, and I mean hounded, like I had not seen it blow up on the internet, or blow up, I mean a minor, like basically one of the commentators had said that Dan Bigham's race radio on his chest, and mine to an extent, was protruding in a way that would suggest that it was an aerodynamic advantage. Now, we'll get onto that, but the first thing is the UCI let us start. The UCI looked us up and down and were completely cool. The whole palaver around the race radios was started by a commentator and finished by the media. So I went into the media zone and was interviewed. I thought Cycling Weekly was going to interview me about how the race was, how nice and progressive it is, but no, they asked me 4 different ways what was down the front of my skin suit and whether it was an aerodynamic advantage. The answer to that question is it's a race radio down the front of my skin suit, and it's not so much that it's an aerodynamic advantage, it's also that it's an aerodynamic disadvantage to have it on your back. There's a lot of clean airflow on your back, and putting a nice race radio on there disrupts it. That's not new. That's something that's been happening for a long time. So, and if we look through this montage of riders that competed during the World Champs, you'll see that it wasn't just the Brits putting their radios down the front. So the media concocted a big story about it, which was a bit of a shame. Dan Bigham was at the centre of it, which is unsurprising. I mean, the guy, I had the pleasure of being teammates with him for the mixed relay, and he pretty mind-blowing in the way he approaches a race and maximising. One of the most profound things that he said was he once said to another rider, "Oh, this will be a X amount of watts or speed faster," and that rider went, "Yeah, but how much faster?" And it's like, should that matter? If it's faster, you use it, whether it's a watt or 20 watts. So but he has also obviously attracted a lot of attention, and I'm now giving him more attention through this, which he may or may not thank me for. But the race radio thing, I felt, was blown out of proportion as such. We'll move on. The other WTF of the week I want to talk about is camera motorbikes, because they just seem to affect every single bike race. I don't know whether it's commissaires or race organisers or the moto drivers realise the effect that they have, and maybe in racing now, I think we're sort of starting to see a little shift of teams realising the effect of motorbikes and utilising it. If you're first to go, then you're first to get in the draft of those motorbikes, and then if you're chasing, you're not going to have that draft. So I think there's something in being the first to attack, to really get ahead and get that camera motorbike in front of you. Also, a team riding the front, there's going to be an advantage there. It was like we saw it quite well. You might not have seen it because you see the shots, but in the Tour of Britain they were very close. Cav wasn't too impressed, but actually at the same time that Cav said something, I'd said something back in the bunch. And there was times in the World Championships where they were there, they were in a place where they're going to give an advantage, and if they're sat in front of the bunch, they give an advantage. Interestingly, if they're sat to the side of a rider, they could well be slowing that rider down because of the way the moto bike displaces the air. So there's something in that. Either way, I think it's something that needs to be fixed, more heavily guarded with rules, and just so they don't end up influencing the racing, because that's not what it's about. I don't think anyone wants to see anyone win a race because of a mountain bike, because of a motorbike influence. So that's it for WTFs of the week, and we'll move on to what's upcoming, because the season might feel like it's over when the Worlds is done. It definitely brings a closing chapter to the race, but luckily for the Neo-Pros, Tour of Guangxi isn't on. Generally that race is reserved for Neo-Pros and anyone that's leaving a team, because generally riders do not jump up and down to do the Tour of Guangxi. So they've dodged a bullet there. But we do have Paris-Roubaix, which is massive. 3rd of October, also my birthday. Paris-Roubaix, and I saw a fantastic meme the other day that was like a guy that was super excited and a guy was full of fear as like spectators versus the riders, with the prospect of a wet Paris-Roubaix. We haven't seen the long range forecast just yet, or we might have done by the time this video goes out, but I hope for the riders' sake that it's dry, because I just cannot, having done a couple of Paris-Roubaix myself, I cannot imagine it wet. I just cannot imagine anything worse. Also got Tour of Croatia, or Crow Race, which is where I'm at now, which we're expecting a nice, pleasant, sunny, holiday vibe bicycle race. Starts with a 240k stage for stage 1 though, which I'm a bit on the fence about that. And there's no time trial, which it is what it is. All the Italian 1 days, all of the races in France where it seems to go from Paris to everywhere else, like Paris Tours, Paris Bourges, and all of them. There's the Chrono Donations, which I won't be doing because it clashes with national TT champs. That's a bit of a way away still. A lot of riders will be going down their off season as well. But I think more important than anything else, although that can be argued because of Paris-Roubaix, Joss Loudon is doing an hour record, which, there's a lot of, she's broken the hour record in training, like allegedly, and there's no reason for them to have made that information up, because it just puts more pressure on her for the official attempt. But this is an official attempt at Grenchen Velodrome on the 28th of October, which is very soon. And then a couple of days later, her lesser half, Dan, is going for the British hour record. And the reason if he goes further than Victor Campenert's does, which is 55.089 kilometres, he cannot take the world hour record. He can take Wiggins's 54.5-ish British hour record, but he cannot take Victor's world hour record because he's not on the registered testing pool for a drug testing, which all sort of World Tour riders, and I think Pro Conti, I don't know if Pro Conti is on that, but certainly all World Tour riders are, which I think is a bit unfair. Obviously, the registered testing pool has to be there, but the hour record isn't like anything else. There's a lot of riders who can do very good hour records that you don't have to be a World Tour rider to knock out a good hour record. So I think that's a bit unfair. Either way, I'm going to be watching both of them very closely because it's just massively interesting, and I wish both of them all the best of luck. Anyway, thanks for watching again, and come back to you next week to see if 2 hour records have been broken and who's won Paris-Roubaix for 2021. Thanks for watching.